Hello children, let us discuss a worksheet on principles of management. Now, the first question of the worksheet: Sanak and Gagan started their career in Wales Limited, which is a printing press, after going through rigorous recruitment process. Since they had no prior work experience, the firm decided to give them 1 year to prove themselves. The principles of management followed by Wales Limited is dash. We have to fill up the blank. Which principle of management was followed by Wales Limited? As you see from the question, that they have started their careers in a printing press and not having any work experience. So the firm, they have decided to give some time to them to prove themselves. Here, the principles of management which is followed by Wales Limited is the stability of the personnel, so that they can get enough time, ample time to prove themselves. In the second question, we have to match the techniques of scientific management. On the left hand side, you have separation of planning and executing function. Number 2, setting benchmarks for every business activity which must be adhered to during production. Number 3, eliminating superfluous varieties, size and dimensions. And number 4, minimizing the cost of production and maximize the quality of satisfaction of the customers. So on the left hand side, you have explanation of some of the principles of techniques of scientific management. Now you have to match these with right hand side, the techniques. Okay, let us do. Number 1, separation of planning and execution function. Separation of planning and execution function, it means planning and execution function both are separated. Okay, so we have to match this with functional foremanship. As we know that in functional foremanship there is a separation of planning and execution under 4 each, means 4 specialists for planning and 4 specialists for execution. Total we have 8 specialists under which the worker is functioning. Okay, number 2, setting benchmarks for every business activity which must be adhered to during the production. You have to set benchmarks, means standardization of work. Now, number 3, elimination superfluous varieties, size and dimensions. Size, varieties, dimensions must be reduced, a standard size must be maintained. That is simplification of work. We have to match it with simplification of work. Number 4, minimizing the cost of production and maximizing the quality and satisfaction of the consumers. What we are trying to do? We are trying to minimize the cost of production and we are trying to maximize the quality and the satisfaction of the customers. This is related to method study. So first, functional foremanship. Second, standardization of work. Third, simplification of work. And 4 is the method study. Let us try question number 3. The principles of management equip the managers to foresee the cause and effect relationship of their decisions and actions so that the wastages associated with the trial and error approach can be overcome. The point of significance of principles of management highlighted here is dash. We have to fill up the correct answer. Means this statement is related to or is explanation of one of the importance of the principles of management. Which important of principle of management is highlighted in this case? Now when we say that the manager must foresee the cause and effect relationship of their decisions and actions, and must reduce the waste associated with the trial and error method. The importance of the principle of management is optimization, optimum utilization of resources, and effective administration. When we talk about the optimal utilization of resources and effective administration, we come to know about the management in which there is a reduction in wastage because of the trial and error approach or method. Okay, number 4, to motivate the workers, differential piece waste system should be implemented. We have to give reasons whether this statement is true or it is false. Once again, to motivate the workers, differential piece waste system should be implemented. Yes. No, this differential piece waste system have two types of rates to give wages. First is on the achievement of a particular target, wages will be more, and if the worker is unable to achieve it, the wages will be less. And the worker who is unable to achieve the target, for it it will be the motivation force. So the statement is true. Now let us try the other one. Question number 5. Damini D'Souza took over the reins of Kinsa Retail as its managing director in India. Kinsa Retail, with its headquarters at Japan, has been retail business for the last 40 years. It has regional offices in many countries, with each regional office taking care of the shops in that particular region. As it is a large organization, the regional officers has been given the powers to decide and spend funds sanctioned to them by the headquarters for the welfare of the customers of their region. Kinsa Retail wants the highest possible standards of ethical conduct been followed, for which the code of conduct in its place for putting values into practice. All employees as well as the board members are required to act in accordance with the highest standard of personal and professional integrity when acting on behalf of the company. Non-compliance involves a heavy penalty, including termination of employment. The question is, identify and state two principles of general management being followed by Kinsa Retail. Now here, in this case study, what we have to do, we have to find two principles of general management. Now study the case very closely. Now it is Damini D'Souza. Now she is working in Kinsa Retail as a managing director, and Kinsa Retail is having headquarters at Japan. At the same time, the regional offices are there, and regional offices are taking care of the shops which are there in the locality. Now because it is a large organization, and regional officers, they has been given the powers to decide and spend funds sanctioned to them by the headquarters. It means that the principle which is followed here is centralization and decentralization, because of the division of power, the distribution of powers which is given to them, to the managers. In the second case, the second principle which we have to identify, it can be identified from the code of conduct which everybody has to follow in the organization. Whether it is an employee or the board of members or board of directors, whatever they are, they have to follow the rules and regulations that has been framed. If they are not following it, then penalty can also be imposed. This principle is related to the principle of discipline. Question number 6. Name and explain with the suitable example the techniques of scientific management given by Taylor with the objective of determining the number of workers to be employed for a task. Once again, Name and explain the suitable example of technique of scientific management given by Taylor with the objective of determining the number of workers to be employed for a task. For determining the number of workers to be employed for a task, we have to do time study. So here the technique of the scientific principle of management is time study, and we have to write about time study. Number 7, define principles of management and explain any three principles highlighting the significance of the principle of management. For question number 7, we have principles of management. First, we have to define the principles of management. The principles of management are broad and general guidelines for decision making and behavior of managers. Then we have to write about the significance of the principles of management. What are the significance? Number 1, providing managers with useful insight into reality. Number 2, optimum utilization of resources and effective administration. Number 3, scientific decisions. Number 4, meeting changes environmental requirements, environmental requirements. And number 5, fulfilling social responsibility. And number 6, management training, education and research. Now we have to define principles of management for 1 mark, and then we have to write the significance of the principles of management, and we have to explain the significance, okay, shortly. Question number 8, we have explain briefly any 5 characteristics of the principles of management. Means we have to explain 5 the features of the principles of management. And for the 5 principles of management, feature of the principle of management or characteristics of the principles of management, we have to write about general guidelines, number 1. Number 2, found by practice and experimentation. And number C, universal applicability. Number D, flexible, contingent, behavioral, cause and effect relationship. Here we are having 7, and out of these 7 we have to explain any 5 feature of management. Let us discuss the last one. Fayol and Taylor both has contributed immensely to the knowledge of management, which has become the basis for further practice by managers. Taylor thought that by scientifically analyzing the work, it would be possible to find one best way to do it. He is most remembered for this time and motion studies and functional foremanship. He said that the best results would come from the partnership between the trained and qualified management and a cooperative and innovative worker. Fayol explained that the amount of the manager's work and what principles should be followed in doing this work. In the light of the above discussion, we have to write the difference between the contribution of Taylor and Fayol on the basis of number 1 is the perspective. Number 2, you have unity of command. Number C is focus. Number D is expression. Number E is applicability. And number F is the basic of formation. We have to write the difference between Fayol's principle and the Taylor's principle on the basis which is given below. Okay, the basis of difference between Henry Fayol and F.W. Taylor. Number 1 is perspective. Now Henry's Fayol principle. Henry's principle, it is on the top level of the management, and perspective of Taylor is on the shop floor level of the factory. Then the unity of command. In the Fayol's principles, the unity of command is strictly followed, whereas for Taylor it is not followed, because a worker, he receives instructions from 8 specialist workers, the supervisors. Focus of Henry Fayol is improving the overall administration, whereas focus for Taylor is increasing productivity of the workers, Expression, it is a general theory of administration for Fayol, whereas for Taylor it is scientific management. Applicability, where it is applicable, Henry Fayol's principles are universally applicable, whereas Taylor's principles are applicable in a specialized situations. What is the basis of formation? Now, Fayol's principles, basis of formation is his personal experience, whereas Taylor's principles, Basis of formation is observation and experimentation. Thank you.